The president is speaking right now about his essentially expansion of background checks. This is a very small measure. They are taking the definition which the law allows the administration to define of what is a gun dealer and expanding it to include anybody who has business cards printed that say they're a gun dealer, anybody who regularly has a contract for a booth in a gun show, anybody who has an internet site to sell guns or is selling them on the internet. These seem like fairly straightforward things. Meanwhile, the sons of the Bundy family and their buddies are still holed up in Oregon. And this is all getting very strange. I wanted to check in with Sheriff Richard Mack, who is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association Board of Directors of the Oath Keepers Movement, formerly the Sheriff of Graham County, Arizona. CSPOA.org is his website. And Sheriff Mack knows Cliven Bundy and presumably knows his sons. Sheriff Mack, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks, Tom. It's good to be back with you. Thanks for having me. And boy, isn't it a wonderful day? We now have more gun control from our president. That'll save us all.
Well, I think it's a good thing that people have to be checked for criminal background before they buy weapons that can kill people, don't you?
I think the president violating the Constitution is never a good thing, and he doesn't have the authority to do this. As the Constitution says, all legislative power is vested in a Congress. He has no legislative authority.
Right, and the legislature has,
even my scholars in
on multiple occasions, Richard, the legislature has passed laws saying that the sale of guns can be regulated. There's no dispute of that. The Supreme Court didn't dispute that in Heller.
Maybe Congress passed that law, but they didn't have the authority to pass that law either. But even if they did, that doesn't give the president legislative authority. He is the executive branch, not the legislative.
So are you which is charged with executing the laws as opposed to making them?
Correct.
So are you suggesting that the right of free speech should be absolute, like the right to own? Well, actually, we're wandering off into a gun control debate here. What I wanted to talk to you about is what's.
I know your argument there, and yes, I do have unbridled freedom of speech. And to try to say that police have the right to regulate my freedom of speech because I might commit a crime with my power to speak. If I commit a crime, then the police can go after me, like yelling fire in a crowded theater, or somebody's got a gun in the theater, everybody run, and somebody gets hurt. Yeah, that's against the law. That's hurting someone else. But
that's
as long
the
as
regulation of speech.
Government has to protect my right to freedom of speech and my right to keep and bear arms.
So you want big government to be intrusively protecting our
Oregon at the Wildlife Reserve there, and friends of mine are inside there.
Yeah. So what's with these guys? This seems like first of all the Hammond family, which is a little sketchy to begin with. I mean, the guy abused his son, beat him up, sandpapered his chest, did all kinds of horrible things to his son. That most people would go to jail for just in that. And the Hammond family has said these guys aren't speaking for us. And they went to jail today. They went back to serve their sentence for poaching and then burning 130 acres of federal land to try and hide the evidence of their crime. What do and what's the Mormon connection here?
Well, there really isn't one.
Why is the Angel Maroney then telling us what's going on?
Well, some of them inside there. Of course, the Bundys are members of that church, and coincidentally, I am also. But it has nothing to do with that, and it's their protest, and it's their form of protest, and I don't agree with it. But I will, and I've told you this in person. I will tell you that Ammon Bundy, and I know his brother Ryan, and I know, of course, Father Cliven, and you and I have talked about him on your show before, right when I was sitting next to you in Washington, D.C. But I will tell you this. Ammon Bundy is an honest and good man. I don't understand what he's doing, but I know he is a good man, and he is a good person, and he's an honorable man. And he didn't ask me about this, probably because he knows I would have tried to talk him out of it, and I've tried to talk him out of there since then, and had a recent conversation just with him last night.
Well, he says God told him to do this. Specifically.
However, the
explicitly.
important thing here is the Hammonds, and Lou Dobbs did a terrific show last night about the Hammonds and the injustice that's going on with Hammonds, and you bringing up something else about something that they supposedly did to a child or to a son is, I think, irresponsible. I don't agree with.
Well, no, this is the result of
either.
actual court records and arrest records. What I'm sharing,
incident, and that the government has fabricated a case against them and put a 73-year-old man, an honorable good man, in prison, and nobody's doing anything about it. What do we do, Tom? This is the $10,000 question.
This is why we have courts, Richard, and these guys lost in the courts. This went to the Supreme Court, Richard.
So what do we do to stop somebody from going to prison?
Well, you change the law.
The government has fabricated a case against them.
Well, we don't know that. It's been tried. This went all the way to the Supreme Court. These guys have had multiple appeal opportunities.
They've already served their time, and they've already paid $400,000 in fines. Those fines have been paid. They served their time, and the government comes back and says, oh, we want to make them terrorists now, so let's add to the sentence.
No, that's what they were originally prosecuted under, Richard. Originally, hang on just a second. I'm agreeing with you. Originally, they were prosecuted under a terrorism law, which I think is stupid, which has a minimum mandatory 5-year sentence, which I think is stupid, and I think it's counterproductive. I think these minimum mandatories that were brought to us in large part by the Bill Clinton administration are, they're one of the reasons why there's so many people in prison right now. And the original judge said, I'm going to ignore that minimum mandatory and only sentence these guys to 9 months and 1 year respectively. And the appeals court came back and said, you cannot ignore minimum mandatories. They're the law of the land. And that's why these guys are going back to jail. Now, if you don't like that, and I don't like that, I think that that's wrong,
you have to obey the
then let's
when it says no
change the law. No, they weren't retried.
It might be a law, but innocent people have been abused by it. So what do we do?
Change the law.
Hammond Bundy said, I'm sick and tired of this, and I understand the frustration because I am too. And I am sick and tired of law-abiding, good people in this country being abused by our government, and that's what this is. And I want to ask you and all your listeners, when an innocent person is being abused by government and sent to prison at the age of 73, what is it that we have a responsibility to do to keep them out and to protect them?
Well, I think there's a lot of options short of seizing a federal building in a wildlife preserve.
Shame on us.
Are there not a lot of options short of seizing a wildlife preserve and holding a bunch of ducks hostage?
I don't agree with that. I'm sure there are. You and I both agree on that part.
So let's change the law, Richard.
However, this has caused a great debate, and it almost is a dichotomy there, because I said they would make things worse, and lo and behold, their siege there has created a lot of news all across this country for and on behalf of the Hammonds, and I would refer to you Lou Dobbs' story about it last night. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe that would have been on Lou Dobbs last night, or we wouldn't be talking about the Hammonds right now if it wasn't for what Ammon Bundy and his brothers and others did.
Well, if what Ammon Bundy did leads to an honest national discussion about minimum mandatory sentencing laws and how both Reagan and Clinton were, blind, dumb, and stupid when they advocated these things, absolutely, I'm all in favor of that. But that's not what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is a discussion about, taking on the government and all this kind of stuff. Anyhow, Richard, we're out of time, excuse me. Sheriff Richard Mack, founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association at cspoa.org is the website. You can tweet him at Sheriff Mack, M-A-C-K. Sheriff, thanks a lot for being with us today.
All right.
Hello?
You too.
Okay. Good talking with you. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, very interesting. It's, seeing things from multiple perspectives sometimes broadens you, sometimes makes you more cynical. I don't know. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.